Hey, welcome to another edition of Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll. I'm David Parker, hanging out in Salado, Texas, with my good friend Rik Rodriguez, who happens to be Sergeant First Class retired. So, how are you, Rik?
Pretty good, pretty good. Enjoying the weather.
Right, we're just sitting down here at his house in Salado. Decided to do it like this versus set it up on a video call, because why not? I'm here in his yard. Lives in a small 20 acres out here with his 6 dogs. How many goats?
6 dogs, 4 goats, 1 sheep, 20 chickens, 2 geese, a duck, and a couple of goldfish.
Right, and how many chicks do you got right there in that aquarium being kept warm as you grow them?
10.
10. All right, cool. So we're going to talk about your career. Tell us, I know you did the Marine Corps and you were in the Army, so tell us all about that.
I joined the Marine Corps in 1996. I was 23 years young. Still had all my mobility at that time. Went to...
Was that a shot at my job, mobility?
No, that's a double entendre right there.
Oh, okay.
Went to boot camp in San Diego. So for those of you who went to Paris Island, we'll leave it at that. Did 4 years. Got out in 2000. After 9/11 happened, got recalled for 5 years. After I was completed with that obligation, switched over to the Army in an attempt to come back home to Texas. Due to many circumstances, that wasn't feasible until I retired in 2018 and made it home shortly after that.
Wow. So you started in 99, and when did you retire?
96.
96.
Retired May 1st, 2018.
So that's how many total years?
Total 22, military-wise 20 and 4 months.
Wow, that's a good career. I did 22 years, 7 months, and 21 days, but it's not a competition.
Yes.
So you did Marine Corps for...
11 years.
Right.
And then Army for 11 years.
And you left the Marine Corps at what rank?
Staff Sergeant.
And you left the Army as a Sergeant First Class.
Sergeant First Class.
Compare the two. Tell me, what's the difference between Staff Sergeant Army, Staff Sergeant Marine Corps?
In the Marines, as you pick up rank, you get more responsibility and less oversight. In the Army, and it's unit dependent, because some units ran similar to the Marine tactics.
Yeah.
The more rank you got, they loosened the leash and allowed you to do what you needed to do. Other units, not so much. They felt, I'm paying you more because you're an E7, so I need this much amount of work from you, when all your E4 and belows were sitting around twiddling their thumbs. And God forbid you went and tried to get them to work, because whoever the sergeant major was at the time,
Right.
would get in your face, because I'm paying you this amount of money, so I expect you to do it.
So what you're saying is in the Army you didn't like the E4 Mafia?
I have a problem with E4 Mafia, so much as I only had 2 bad sergeant majors in the Army.
Yeah.
So for all of you that are out there, if you're still in, don't let one unit or one individual deter you from your goals. If you go somewhere else, you can have a totally different experience, complete 180 night and day.
Right.
These 2 individuals made me hate going to work. From 2012 to early 2014, I dreaded going to work. Then I got shifted to First Sergeant Barracks program in Fort Carson.
So you got moved to the First Sergeant's Barracks program.
Yes, we took over for the civilians, and I was in charge of 15 barracks buildings in Fort Carson, putting soldiers in the right area depending on their units, coordinating with the first sergeant and sergeant majors, making sure that all their soldiers were consolidated to make it more efficient for their first sergeants to do room checks.
Did that ever work out?
Depends on the unit.
It seemed like the last few years at Carson, everybody lived over there.
Yes. So once we took over, it was a headache, because some first sergeants were on board, and of course others.
Right.
We're going to do it my way. So sometimes I had to utilize my chain of command to get the end result accomplished. But for those units where, for example, 10th Cash,
Yeah.
their sergeant major was amazing. We got his building done in 3 to 4 days.
Cool.
And he was very hands-on to get his soldiers where they needed to be, so it'd be one less headache for his first sergeants. And they were all appreciative because they could go in and they didn't have to go first floor, third floor. They can go, this is my wing, and check all their soldiers and be out
Sure.
in an efficient amount of time.
So how many times did you deploy?
Total twice. Out of Fort Lewis, went to Iraq 07 to 08, and then Afghanistan 2010 to 2011.
So we sort of pass each other because I was in Afghanistan 11 and 12.
Yep.
And when did you say you were in Iraq?
August 2007 to November 2008.
All right, so we pass each other there too because I left Iraq in December of 7 for that tour. So very cool, very cool. In the Marine Corps, did you do the same job as you did in the Army?
For the most part, I did. It was all logistics, but the Marine Corps consolidates all their efforts into one shop. They call it HNS. Army calls it HHC.
Ah,
So your HNS company doesn't deploy normally as a whole, but everybody within the company deploys with your line units. Commanders will coordinate, say I need 4 logistics persons, 5 motor T persons, 6 S6, and so on. So people will get attached to the line companies and deploy.
okay.
HNS company normally doesn't deploy as a company, but all the
Got it.
individuals will. And the Army, they like to break everything down. So for example, you have your companies will have 2, 3 supply personnel.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I didn't like that because when somebody got proficient in their job, they moved them to battalion. So all that knowledge and experience
Wait,
got
they
moved.
took smart people to battalion? When did that? That must not be
Yep.
in the infantry in the Army because it
No.
always seemed like the people who went to battalion were the ones that were the other end of smart.
Yes.
All right.
And
That's different.
combat arms, I felt more at home because the camaraderie and the atmosphere was closer to that of Marines.
Yeah.
For example, Devardi, where I met you,
Yeah.
was completely different from the sustainment brigade I was in, where me and my other E7 work with me. We'd come with a loaded
Fourth SB.
4th ID SB now, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'd come with supplies and all this stuff for the brigade, battalion, and it was just me and another E7. And God forbid we asked an E4 or E5 for help, because then their section OIC or OIC would come, where'd you get my guy to help you out? Well, for starters, most of the stuff is for you. At Devardi, which was a breath of fresh air, as soon as most of the 13 Fox and all 13
Yeah.
series
Yeah, yeah.
would see me pulling in with supplies, before I even got out of my vehicle, I had about 8 people. Hey, Sergeant, can we help you?
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened to the rest of them? Oh, they went to get more people.
So spending all that time in the Marine Corps, 11 years, and then spending 11, right, in the Army, was there anything in that transition period or learning to change from Marine Corps to Army that really, like, pissed you off?
yes.
It just made it really... Tell us some of that.
Camaraderie and taking care of your personnel.
So the Marines do it better?
Yes. So in the
Right.
Marines, if someone's missing from formation, we start trying to take accountability 15, 20 minutes before the formation. And we'll be like, hey, where's Parker? I don't know. So we'll start calling you. Hey, I woke up late, but now we were accounted for because we had a conversation with you.
Right, right.
So by the time we go all present or accounted for. The gun company gun will be like, well, what's Parker? Well, we already spoke with him. This is what happened. He's on his way. Okay. When I switched to the Army, I brought that same mentality. The other platoon sergeants would just be content with going, Parker's out of ranks. And what did you call him? Look for him? Nope, that's not my job.
Now, did you see that on both sides in the Army, the combat arms and the
No.
support?
The combat arms was more like the Marines.
Right.
They'd be like, hey, I need you to go look for him. And somebody would go look for him. They'd report.
And I know what you're talking about. I remember in 1987 and 88, I was in Korea at Camp Hovey, and, you know, we'd get a little drunk. And every now and then you'd get one of your fellow soldiers showing up that was sort of wobbling to formation, and you reach back and hold him up so that he wouldn't fall down in formation. But I did notice when I left the infantry, like you were talking about, because I did 16 years in the infantry and then due to injury got reclassed. When I moved over to support, the rules changed. The Army changed. It was like, so how did you figure out how to do that transition? What did you do?
I still did things my way and just bumped heads with the platoon sergeants. The reason we bumped heads is their soldiers started calling me, started texting me. So when they would call them out of ranks, and the first sergeant I had at the time, his wife was a Marine, so she kind of was a transition piece for me. Because he would be like, oh, I have this guy who's a Marine, does this, this, and this. He's like, yeah, that's what he's supposed to do. He's taking care of people. So if somebody...
Yes, there's a bird in the background that hasn't made a sound the whole 2 hours I've been here, and now it's back here. I think it's calling me a punk. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to listen with my headphones on.
So he would come to me, and I go, he's really not out of ranks. This guy's stuck at the gate. This guy's doing a random vehicle inspection. So the first sergeant started wondering, well, how do you know more about the other platoons than they know? And I told him, I was like, because your platoon sergeants don't care. And it was a medical unit. They were more concerned about blue falconing each other. So when it came time to promotion...
Is that an Army word?
they'll be slotted higher for those promotion slots.
Right.
So it's cutthroat. When I went to the NCOES schools in the Army, I got briefed, yep, when you go there, everyone's going to be cutthroat. I was very fortunate when I went to WOC, AOC, and SLC. Everyone had that combat arms mentality about helping each other, and no one really cared about being commandant's list or the undergrad.
Right.
They were just, we're here to get the 1059, and we're going to help each other. I'll help you with drill. You help me with my PowerPoint.
Right.
So when I went to those schools, I didn't experience any cutthroat elements. So I was fortunate when I went to my schools.
Right. How about officer differences? What was the officers in the Marine Corps in your experience versus the ones you dealt with in the Army? Now I realize we're also talking era difference here. We're talking rank difference. As a staff sergeant, you were around a lot more lieutenants and captains. As E7, you were around a lot more lieutenant colonels and so on. So there's going to definitely be a difference because everybody's got to grow up a little bit. You got to get some seasoning to you. But to compare an Army lieutenant when you were a platoon sergeant to like a Marine Corps lieutenant when you were staff sergeant.
Well, once again, fortunate. I was always around colonels.
Oh, the whole career?
The whole career.
That's why you're bald. You pulled your hair out.
Because of my position being in logistics. So,
all right.
In the Marines, I was exposed to interacting with officers frequently. Most of the time, that came in handy because someone tried to punk me or try to pull their rank on me. It didn't work because then I'd go to their officers like, hey, sir, you realize I have all your gear in my cage, but I can't give it to you because your staff sergeant's being an a-hole. I'll take care of that. And so I got stuff done by utilizing the resources I had.
Sure, makes sense.
For the most part, in the Marine Corps, we have unwritten guidelines. We feel that if you have a bad...
Invisible rules?
We feel if you have a bad or a crappy officer, it's the NCO's fault. Whoever was his NCO, the officer is the result of what the NCO trained them to do. Because when you have a second lieutenant, they could have a degree from West Point or Annapolis, wherever you want.
Okay.
They don't know anything about the military. So it's your job as an NCO to train them the right way. And the Army kind of needs of the Army is like, hey, I know this is your job, but we're going to stick you over here for now.
Right.
And then they get good at that, and then, oh, we're going to move you over here. So there's no consistency. You have several great officers, but at the same time, all branches, you have some crappy ones, bottom 10%.
So we were talking earlier before we decided to do this on the Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll, and you were talking about how you went in the Army to be stationed in Texas. How'd that work out again?
I had to retire to come back home. I kept asking for Fort Hood, and I kept being told no. So I was stationed at Fort Lewis and Fort Carson, where I ended my career.
You did 11 years between Carson and Lewis.
Yes.
Now you have a bulldog that just climbed up in your lap. Is that because you were a Marine, or is that a coincidence?
Both Marines, and it's my favorite type of dog.
I realize that Maddie here, your bulldog, is as hard-headed as you are, Rick. Is that genetics?
Probably.
All right. So how was Lewis?
Lewis was actually, geographic-wise, was beautiful, other than raining 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
For the most part, I was deployed either to Iraq, Afghanistan, and that little time frame in between, my unit was tasked with doing the Sea Smurf. So
What
we
does
were,
Sea Smurf stand for?
I
You
don't-
remember?
Don't remember the acronym, but it's home defense. So we deployed to Norfolk, Virginia, Camp Atterbury, I think it's Indiana, Leavenworth. We deployed all throughout the United States to prepare and support in case anything happened, like Katrina, medical support.
So it's an active duty Army job, acting like a active duty Army unit, acting like National Guard?
Yes,
All right.
pretty much.
See how easy that was to explain?
Yes.
So, 22 years, 11 Marine, 11 Army, 2 deployments, cool. Your wife is a veteran.
Yes.
And how long did she serve?
She served 10 years.
10 years. And what did she do?
Logistics and vet tech.
So were you issued your wife since you were in supply?
No, I kind of, your drift is a gift.
Now, you both are, let's put you, 33 years, 32 years of military experience in your family.
Immediate family, yes.
That's awesome. Do you come from a line of
Yes.
Marines?
My dad's a Marine. I have an uncle, an aunt on my mom's side, and I have 2 cousins and an uncle on my dad's side.
Right. My biological mother, I discovered in 2016, I think it was, when we finally found out who she was a Marine. She actually gave me up for adoption while she was in the Marine Corps. She didn't want to take on the responsibility, which I understand. I don't begrudge my mom in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying it's interesting that I ended up in the Army. So,
Yeah, so other than the Coast Guard, I have family in all branches.
cool. Let's pause this for a minute. Well, that's always fun. A little bit of technical error, but who cares? We overcame it in the Army. We'll overcome it here. So tell me some funny stuff. You and your wife, total of 30 years between the two of you, come from a line of Marines. My mom was a Marine. So we always have those stories of, no shit, there it was. You got a couple of those?
Not personal ones, but
Oh, man!
one-
What is with the Marines and no shit, there I was stories?
one that's funny. 2002, 2003, I was an MP at Paris Island. So our nickname at the time was Pimps because it's Paris Island Military Police.
Paris Island Military Police. I thought the Marine Corps, the Marine Corps are MPs too. Never mind.
Yes. So
Shut up, Army guy. You don't know nothing.
me and my partner were sitting in the squad car because we had escorted a civilian from the commissary to drop their funds inside the bank.
Okay.
We see 2 recruits they're doing area beautification, so they're carrying bags full of leaves and stuff.
Right.
You see the commanding general walking with the base sergeant major. One of the recruits is holding 2 bags, and the other guy is holding 2 rakes.
2 bags, 2 rakes. Got
So
it.
they're walking, they see the sergeant major and the colonel. You see the guy put the rakes down and salutes for both of them.
No, he did not. He did not put his hand up to salute and his hand up on his buddy's eyebrow to salute for him at the same time.
He did.
Get the hell out
Nope.
of here.
He did. So
And you saw
I
this
saw this.
in the Marines.
Yeah.
What color crayon do you think they like the most?
They were following orders. 'Cause
All right.
As soon as they did that, the sergeant major yelled for the sergeant that was in charge of area beautification, and he's like, "Sergeant major, I said that as a joke. I didn't think." He's like, "If one of you has your hands full, one of you needs to salute for both of you." The recruit misinterpreted what he meant, so he saluted for both of them.
So we're talking recruit as in basic training.
Yep, boot camp.
All right. So the young man who did the salute for both people hadn't even been in uniform long enough to even have enough military sense to know not to do that.
No.
Okay, that's still funnier than hell.
It was hilarious.
What about your wife? She ever told you a funny story about her career?
Trying to think.
No. Well,
None comes to the top of my head right
it's
now.
all right. It's all right. Now,
Okay.
your wife got medically retired, right?
Yes.
She's been through some tough stuff.
Oh, she got medically discharged, yes.
Medically discharged. Got it. So, she doing all right?
She's
So
doing,
she won't come over here and get on camera with us.
after a few operations, dealing with her brain, a couple of removal of her front temporal lobe.
Yeah.
She has a lot less seizures than she did when you first met her. So she's come a long way. She's a lot healthier now. The implant in her head is called an RNS. I couldn't tell you what it stands for, but it's it's pretty much the same as a VNS, where most people have it in their chest.
Do you know what a VNS is?
Vagus nerve stimulator.
All right.
So what they do is when they anticipate a seizure coming on, they swipe this magnet, and you can hear it on their voice. Their voice starts crackling a little bit.
Okay.
And it's supposed to offset or cancel the upcoming seizure. So this one is an implant that's actually in her right side of her head, and she's been doing a lot better. She had 4 total surgeries. Most recent one being May 1st of this year to replace the battery. The battery lasted 3 years. This new one's supposed to last 8 to 10 years.
So your wife has a battery-powered brain?
Yes, she's a cyborg now.
She's a cyborg. Got it. Resistance is futile.
Yes.
So you guys have been through some tough stuff.
Medically, yes.
Now, if I remember right, when you and I first met, and I met your wife, she told me some story that I'm going to paraphrase into the Army. Basically said she was diagnosed with FOS, full of shit, right?
Yes.
And
Well,
now,
one neurologist, yep.
right, but now years later, we've discovered that the Army doctor was the one full of shit.
Yes. And her medical team that was in Denver stated if that neurologist had given her preventative medication, she might not have needed those surgeries.
So, tough time, but you guys figure out how to keep going.
Yes.
Right? And you're not exactly 100% healthy yourself, are you?
Depends on the day.
Depends on the day.
Some days I
right?
feel wonderful, other days you'll see me walking with a cane.
Right. Got it. So that brings me to the point of where we're going with all this. The biggest reason for Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll is because we want everybody to realize it served all the fellow veterans. Listen, we all been through some crap. We've all had some things that got broken and busted from inside our brains down to our toes. It don't matter. But we still got to keep on working together. So I want to stop the 22. We want to stop the 22. I don't know, if you're not military and you're listening to this, do the math, all right? 22 veterans a day taking their life times 30 days. Can we carry the sixes? That's 660 people.
Yep.
So more veterans are taking their life every year than we lost in Afghanistan and Iraq combined total in all the years we've been there. This has got to stop. So, Rick, what's your message to fellow veterans that are going through a bad place?
I would just say put your ego and pride aside. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness.
Amen. I still get weakness. Yep, I still get weakness. I still get help now. I've been retired since June of 2016. You retired when?
May 2018.
When's the last time you trimmed this freaking thing right here, this goatee thing?
May 2018.
May 2. Right? So I agree with you. It's not a sign of weakness. I think it takes a little bit more strength.
Yes.
To just say, you know what? I need to talk to somebody that has a little more knowledge than I have to help me figure out something.
Yes.
And we want you to keep going with us. We want you to keep serving with us, all right? Pledge of Allegiance is on the wall. The flag's behind us. The Marine Corps flag's flying out in his yard. Did you color that yourself?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, okay. Of course,
It
with
takes
Old
more
Glory
courage.
out there.
It takes more courage to put yourself out there than to keep it inside and find a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Right, that's well said. That's well said. So, hey, fellow veterans, come on, keep serving with us. Let's keep going together. Reach out and call us. Rick has been through what he's been through: the Marine Corps for 11 years, Army 11 years, 2 deployments, married to a wife that's the Army basically. Well, one of the doctors said, no, you're faking, if you will, and now she's had 4 surgeries, and she's standing over there, still rocking and rolling, raising 3 kids and more dang animals in the yard than I know what to do about. I think you just made yourself a platoon of animals. Is that what you did? 6 dogs, right? All right.
Have formation every morning.
You know what? I hear people saying get your ducks in a row. How the hell do you get yours on the same pond?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We try not to give Chicken Little CQ, because then she says the sky is falling.
Gotcha. All right, so thanks for tuning in to Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll. If you're thinking about checking out, please stop. Call somebody. Talk to us. Call Rick. Look him up on Facebook. Rik Rodriguez. We're here for you. We served. We stepped up. We raised our right hand. We went to basic training. We went to boot camp. We did all the things we did. We deployed. We didn't deploy. You wore the uniform. You matter. All right, keep trucking. Keep on serving. Keep on stepping. Until then, this is Veteran Rants, Rattle, and Roll. We're out!